Don't rush to spend that dime. It could be worth a fortune. Some Roosevelt and Mercury dimes with rare dates, mint marks, or tiny minting errors are highly sought after by collectors. What looks like just 10 cents in your pocket could actually be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Always check your dimes. You might be holding hidden treasure. The 1982 United States Roosevelt dime might seem like one of the most ordinary coins of modern American coinage, but as collectors know, even the smallest details can transform a seemingly common piece into a treasure worth far more than its face value. Millions of Americans carried the 1982 dime in their pockets, tossed it into jars, or used it in vending machines without ever realizing that within this year of production, the U.S. Mint produced coins that would become famous in the numismatic world for their errors, unusual variations, and scarce high-grade examples that now fetch impressive prices at auction. To understand the story of the 1982 dime, it helps to take a step back and look at the Roosevelt dime series as a whole. First introduced in 1946, the Roosevelt dime was created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away the previous year. His leadership through the Great Depression and World War II, along with his personal connection to the March of Dimes campaign, made the dime the perfect denomination to carry his likeness. John R. Cynic designed the coin, with Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse and a torch flanked by an olive branch and oak branch on the reverse, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. This design has remained essentially unchanged for nearly 8 decades, making the dime one of the most consistent coins in U.S. history. By 1982, a major transition had already occurred in U.S. coinage: the removal of silver from circulating dimes. Beginning in 1965, dimes were struck in a clad composition of copper and nickel, ending the era of 90% silver coins that collectors today prize so highly. This meant that the 1982 dime, like others from 1965 onward, was made of a copper-nickel sandwich with a pure copper core visible at the edge when viewed closely. But the changes in coinage did not stop there. The year 1982 was unique in U.S. Mint history because it was the first time in decades that proof sets were not issued for collectors. The Mint canceled proof set production due to cost-cutting measures, which means there are no official proof Roosevelt dimes dated 1982 from San Francisco. For collectors, this created a noticeable gap in their proof coin collections, and it also elevated the importance of high-quality business strikes from Philadelphia and Denver, which suddenly became the only options for 1982 dimes. The Philadelphia Mint. More than 519 million Roosevelt dimes were struck, while the Denver Mint produced over 520 million. On the surface, these numbers seem enormous, and indeed they are. Most 1982 dimes in circulated condition are worth just face value 10 cents. But as with so many modern coins, rarity does not always lie in the overall mintage, but in the errors, varieties, and high-grade survivors that slipped through the cracks of mass production. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1982 dime is the mint mark situation. Earlier in the series, the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark at all. In fact, 1980 was the first year Philadelphia dimes carried a P mint mark. That means the 1982 dime was only the third year of production to feature the P. This makes early Philadelphia mint mark dimes historically significant, and when paired with striking errors, they become especially collectible. Errors from 1982 range from the subtle to the dramatic. Off-center strikes, for example, are particularly sought after. A 1982 dime struck 50% off-center with a clear date and mint mark can sell for $100 to $300, while examples with even greater misalignment have crossed the $500 mark at auction. Double-struck dimes from this year, where the coin received more than one impression from the dies, create eye-catching results and often bring $250 to $600 depending on severity. Clipped planchets are another exciting error seen on 1982 dimes. These coins appear with crescent-shaped bites taken out of the edge, a result of the blanking machine overlapping its cuts when punching out planchets. Collectors love these mistakes, and well-preserved examples with visible dates often sell for $50 to $150. Perhaps the most dramatic errors of 1982 involve missing clad layers. Because the dime's outer surface is a copper-nickel mix layered over a copper core, mistakes in production sometimes led to coins missing one or both outer layers. A dime missing one clad layer will appear golden or copper-colored on one side, while a dime missing both clad layers looks like a solid copper coin. These errors are rare and highly desirable, with values ranging from $500 to well over $1,000 depending on condition, and I appeal. High-grade coins are another story entirely. For most collectors, an average 1982 dime isn't worth more than its face value, but pristine examples graded MS-67 or higher can command serious premiums. The professional grading services PCGS and NGC have certified only a handful of 1982 dimes in MS-68 condition, making them true condition rarities. At auction, such coins have sold for $1,000 to $2,500, depending on the mint and quality of the strike. The absence of proof coins from 1982 also makes special mint sets and high-end strikes especially attractive. Some collectors pursue coins with exceptional luster, sharp details, and minimal marks as substitutes for proofs. These so-called proof-like dimes, though rare, can sometimes bring premiums of several $100s when they appear at auction. In terms of auction highlights, a 1982 P dime graded MS-68 by PCGS sold for over $1,600, while a Denver example in the same grade brought close to $2,000. Missing clad layer errors have achieved results above $1,200, and dramatic double strikes have sold for $800 or more. These results show that while the 1982 dime may seem common at first glance, the right combination of grade, condition, and error can transform it into a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of times its face value. What makes the 1982 dime especially exciting is that examples are still out there waiting to be discovered. Because billions were minted, many are still in circulation or stored away in jars, waiting for someone with a sharp eye to notice an error or exceptional condition. That means collectors today still have the chance to stumble upon one of these treasures in ordinary change. Beyond its monetary value, the 1982 dime tells an important story about U.S. coinage. It reflects the mint's efforts to modernize, cut costs, and meet the needs of a rapidly changing economy. It also captures a unique moment in numismatic history when proof sets were absent, errors slipped into circulation, and the transition to Philadelphia's P mint mark was still new. For these reasons, the 1982 dime is not just a coin. It's a snapshot of American history, industry, and culture. So the next time you come across a 1982 Roosevelt dime, don't just pass it along without a glance. Take a closer look at the edges, check for plating errors, study the strike, and examine the mint mark. Could be a simple coin worth 10 cents, or it could be one of the rare survivors worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The kind of coin that has already turned heads at major auctions and will continue to capture the imagination of collectors for generations to come. The 2004 United States one-dime coin may not look extraordinary at first glance, but like many modern coins, it has its own place in history, design, and collecting interest. The dime, valued at 10 cents, has been a cornerstone of U.S. pocket change since the late 18th century, and by 2004 it was still carrying the long-familiar image of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. While the coin is so common that most people pass it by without a second thought, collectors know that hidden gems exist among these ordinary dimes, whether in pristine uncirculated condition, proof examples, or rare error coins that slipped out of the mint by mistake. Some of these rare finds can transform what looks like a simple, everyday coin into something worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. To truly appreciate the 2004 dime, it helps to look back at the history of the series. The Roosevelt dime was first issued in 1946, just 1 year after Franklin D. Roosevelt's death. Roosevelt was chosen for the dime because of his leadership during World War II and his role in founding the March of Dimes, a campaign dedicated to fighting polio. The design, created by John R. Sinek, features a left-facing portrait of Roosevelt on the obverse. Around his portrait are the inscriptions "Liberty" to the left, "In God We Trust" below, and the date, 2004 in this case, to the right. The mint mark, either a P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco, appears just above the year. On the reverse of the 2004 dime is a simple but symbolic design that has been used on every Roosevelt dime since 1946. At the center stands a lit torch, representing liberty. To its left is an olive branch symbolizing peace, and to its right is an oak branch symbolizing strength and independence. Surrounding this trio are the inscriptions "United States of America," "E Pluribus Unum," and "One Dime." It is a clean and straightforward design, one that has endured for decades with only minor updates to accommodate new minting technology. BY 2004. The composition of the dime had long been a copper-nickel clad structure. Unlike the silver dimes minted before 1965, modern dimes are made of an inner core of copper, sandwiched between outer layers of copper-nickel alloy. This makes the coin much more durable for circulation, though less precious in terms of metal content. The dime weighs 2.27 grams, has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, and features a reeded edge, those small ridges along the side that help prevent counterfeiting and distinguish it from smooth-edged coins like the penny. When it comes to mintages, the 2004 dime was produced in massive quantities, as is typical of modern coins. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1.2 billion dimes, while the Denver Mint produced slightly more than 1.5 billion. The San Francisco Mint, as usual, struck proof coins for collectors, with mintages of around 2.7 million. With so many coins minted, the 2004 dime is not rare in circulation, and most examples are worth only face value. However, the story changes when you consider condition and errors. High-grade 2004 dimes are very desirable. A coin pulled from circulation will usually show scratches, nicks, and wear, making it worth only 10 cents. But an uncirculated dime with sharp details and original mint luster can be worth much more. Collectors prize coins graded MS-67 or higher, and examples at this level can bring $75 to $200, depending on whether they are from the Philadelphia or Denver Mint. At the extremely rare MS-68 grade, values can push into the $500 range at auction, as so few examples survive in such pristine condition. Proof coins are also popular. A 2004's proof dime graded PR70 Deep Cameo, the absolute best grade a proof can achieve, can sell for $50 to $100, sometimes more when demand is high. Error coins add another layer of excitement. Despite the precision of modern minting, mistakes still happen, and the 2004 dime has produced some fascinating errors. Off-center strikes are one of the most common, with coins showing parts of the design missing and blank areas visible. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, and whether the date is still intact, these can bring anywhere from $50 to $300. Another error type seen on 2004 dimes is the broad strike, where the coin is struck outside the collar and spreads out slightly larger and flatter than normal. These broad-struck dimes are unusual and collectible, often selling for $50 to $150. Missing clad layer errors are particularly dramatic, where the nickel outer layer fails to bond properly to the copper core. When this happens, the coin can appear reddish-brown on one side, exposing the copper beneath. Such errors are rare and can bring $200 or more depending on condition. Double die errors, while not as common on 2004 dimes as on earlier coins, are still possible. Doubling may appear on the inscriptions or numbers, particularly in Liberty or the date. Clear doubled dies can bring hundreds of dollars, as collectors always seek them out. Even misaligned dies, where the obverse and reverse do not line up properly, can add value. Auction records show just how valuable some 2004 dimes can be. A 2004 D dime graded MS-68 by PCGS once sold for nearly $500, showing the premium collectors will pay for top-grade modern coins. Meanwhile, error coins, such as a dramatic off-center strike or a missing clad layer example, have sold for several $100s each, far above face value. What makes the 2004 dime particularly interesting is that it represents a modern coin still widely available in circulation, yet capable of surprising collectors with valuable finds. It sits in that sweet spot where billions exist in common form, but rare examples in pristine condition or with striking errors stand out dramatically. This makes it an excellent coin for beginners and seasoned collectors alike to search for in pocket change, rolls of coins from the bank, or proof sets. In the bigger picture, the 2004 dime also reflects the continuing story of American coinage. While it might not have the silver content or classic designs of earlier dimes, it carries the enduring legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt, a president remembered for his leadership in tough times and his fight against polio. The torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse remain timeless symbols of liberty, peace, and strength, qualities that still resonate with Americans today. So the next time you come across a 2004 dime, don't dismiss it as just another 10-cent piece. Look closely at its condition. Does it shine with bright, untouched luster? Could it be nearly perfect, the kind of coin that earns top grades and high values at auction? Or does it show something unusual? A missing clad layer? an off-center strike, or doubling on the lettering? If so, you might just be holding a small but valuable treasure. Some collectors have turned a sharp eye and a little luck into hundreds of dollars, simply by paying attention to a coin most people overlook. And that's the magic of coin collecting. Even in the 21st century, with billions of coins in circulation, there are still discoveries to be made. The 2004 dime is proof that history, artistry, and hidden value can all be found in something as ordinary as a coin you might spend without a second thought. The 2013 United States one-dime coin may seem small in size and ordinary in appearance, but for collectors and those with an eye for detail, this little coin carries a big story. When people think of dimes, they often picture loose change rattling at the bottom of a pocket or slipping unnoticed into a coin jar. But the truth is, some of these coins, even from as recent a year as 2013, can be worth far more than 10 cents. And in certain cases, rare minting errors or high-grade examples of the 2013 dime have sold at auctions for prices that leave collectors stunned, sometimes stretching into the thousands of dollars. The design of the 2013 dime is the same design that has graced the coin since 1946, the Roosevelt dime. The obverse features the left-facing profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, who was the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time. Roosevelt's portrait is surrounded by inscriptions. Liberty appears on the left, In God We Trust rests beneath his chin, and the date 2013 is placed to the lower right, accompanied by a mint mark that shows where the coin was struck, either a P for Philadelphia, a D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco on proof coins. Sinek's initials JS are tucked neatly at the base of Roosevelt's neck. On the reverse side, the coin features the familiar imagery of a torch flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right. These elements symbolize liberty, peace, and strength, values closely tied to Roosevelt's legacy and the nation's ideals. The words United States of America appear around the top. One dime curves along the bottom, and E pluribus unum is centered across the design. Though small, this design remains one of the most symbolic in American coinage, and it has endured for over 7 decades without change in terms of composition. The 2013 dime is made of a copper core clad in a copper-nickel alloy, weighing 2.27 grams with a diameter of 17.9 millimeters. It's the same composition used in dimes since 1965, after the U.S. Mint ended the use of silver in regular circulation coins. While these dimes are not precious metal pieces, their value comes from condition, rarity, and errors that occurred during the minting process. Billions of dimes were struck in 2013 across the different U.S. mints. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced massive numbers for everyday circulation, while the San Francisco Mint produced specially made proof coins for collector sets. With so many in existence, an ordinary 2013 dime pulled from circulation will only ever be worth 10 cents. However, high-grade examples and rare errors are what transform this small coin into a valuable collectible. Condition, as always, is the most important factor. Coins graded at the very top of the mint state scale are scarce, even from a modern year like 2013. A dime preserved in brilliant, uncirculated condition, with no noticeable scratches or marks and strong luster, can command impressive premiums. Auction houses have sold 2013 dimes graded MS-68 and higher for several $100s. Proof coins struck at San Francisco, especially those graded PR-70 Deep Cameo, can sell for $75 to $150 depending on demand and certification. But the real excitement comes with minting errors. These are the coins that slipped past quality control at the U.S. Mint, and while rare, they always catch the eye of collectors. Off-center strikes are a classic error to look for on the 2013 dime. If the design is visibly shifted and part of the planchet is blank, collectors may pay anywhere from $75 to $200 depending on the degree of the misalignment and whether the date remains visible. Double strike errors are another category of interest. A 2013 dime struck twice, especially if both strikes are clear and offset, can be worth several $100s or more. These are dramatic pieces that show the minting machinery didn't function properly, leaving behind a one-of-a-kind coin. Then there are wrong planchet errors, which are among the most valuable. Occasionally, a dime design is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, such as a penny or even a foreign coin. These coins are highly prized because they combine rarity with novelty. At auction, wrong planchet errors for modern dimes have fetched prices ranging from $1,000 to over $5,000. Another notable error is missing clad layer dimes. Because the 2013 dime has a copper core with nickel cladding, sometimes the nickel coating on one side fails to bond properly. This leaves one side of the coin looking copper-colored, similar to a penny, while the other side appears normal. Such errors can be worth between $200 and $500 depending on condition and how dramatic the missing clad layer appears. Strike-through errors are yet another type collectors watch for. These occur when grease, cloth fibers, or other foreign objects get between the die and the blank planchet during striking, leaving an unusual mark or impression. A clear strike-through error on a 2013 dime can sell for $50 to $150, and more if it covers a large part of the design. Auction sales highlight just how sought-after high-quality or error 2013 dimes can be. A perfectly graded PR70 Deep Cameo-proof dime from San Francisco has sold for over $100. A 2013 D dime graded MS68 brought in more than $400 at auction due to its near-perfect condition. Off-center strikes and missing clad layer examples from this year have also fetched prices in the $200 to $500 range, while wrong planchet errors have soared into the thousands. These results show that even modern coins can capture strong attention when they are rare enough. For everyday collectors, the key takeaway is that these coins are out there, waiting to be discovered. While billions of 2013 dimes were produced, only a fraction will ever qualify as rare or valuable. That's why careful attention to detail pays off. A coin pulled from pocket change that appears flawless or displays something unusual could be worth far more than its face value. What makes the 2013 dime particularly interesting is its place in modern numismatics. This was a time when the mint was already operating with high-speed machinery and advanced quality controls, which makes errors less common than in earlier decades. But because of that, when errors do slip through, they are highly prized. Add in the fact that top-grade modern coins are difficult to achieve due to the sheer volume of coins produced and the handling they endure, and you have the recipe for a collectible that can command big premiums. So the next time you come across a dime dated 2013, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look at the details. Does the strike look unusual? Does the coin have an off-center design, a coppery surface from missing clad, or doubling on any of the features? Does it look unusually pristine, perhaps worthy of a high grade? Any one of these traits could transform a simple 10-cent coin into a collectible worth $100, $500, or even thousands of dollars. That's the hidden beauty of coins like the 2013 dime. They may be small, they may be common, but within that tiny piece of metal is the potential for rarity, history, and value. And for collectors, that possibility is what makes even the smallest coin worth examining closely.